Commander Vex of the Zephyrian Empire adjusted his ceremonial battle crown and gazed upon the tactical display with the smug satisfaction of someone who'd just discovered fire. Well, more accurately, someone who thought they'd discovered fire but had actually just found a slightly warm rock. Behold, he announced to his bridge crew with all the dramatic flair of a community theater actor, the primitive world of Earth. Population, laughably backward. Technology level, stone tools and wishful thinking. Threat assessment, we could conquer them with a particularly stern letter. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Buzz, nodded enthusiastically while secretly wondering why their advanced computers couldn't manage to spell-check their intelligence reports. Sir, our scans indicate the target zone contains nothing but agricultural settlements, minimal population density, maximum embarrassment potential for these so-called humans. Perfect, Vex declared, practically vibrating with excitement. We'll demonstrate the might of the Zephyrian Empire by obliterating their pathetic farming community. They'll surrender immediately once they witness our superior firepower. Down on Earth, in a modest farmhouse outside Topeka, Kansas, Jake Morrison was having what he'd later describe as a perfectly normal Tuesday morning until some idiots ruined my coffee. He'd been reviewing crop rotation schedules when the sky suddenly lit up like a discount fireworks show. Well, that's new, Jake muttered, stepping onto his porch and squinting at the alien craft hovering over his property. The ship looked like someone had crossed a flying saucer with a disco ball and then given it delusions of grandeur. Luna, you seeing this? Luna Park, the NASA technician who'd been crashing at Jake's place while conducting atmospheric readings, poked her head out the screen door. Yeah, I'm seeing it. Also recording it. Also wondering why they're aiming at your barn instead of, literally anything strategically important. The Zephyrian attack commenced with what they considered devastating precision. Energy beams lanced down from their craft, striking Jake's barn with enough force to knock over some hay bales and slightly singe the roof. Jake observed, watching his barn experience what could generously be called minor property damage. That's disappointing. I was expecting more exploding. Commander Vex, meanwhile, was celebrating like he'd just conquered Rome. Victory is ours. We have struck fear into the hearts of these primitive beings. Surely they cower before our might. Sir, Lieutenant Buzz reported hesitantly, our sensors indicate the structure is still mostly intact. Impossible. Our weapons are calibrated for maximum devastation. Well, sir, they were calibrated for maximum devastation against our test targets, which were cardboard. Back on Earth, Jake was on his phone with his insurance company. Yeah, hi, it's Jake Morrison. Policy number, look, this is going to sound weird, but I need to file a claim for alien attack damage. No, I'm not drunk. No, it's not April 1st. Yes, I can hold. Luna had her laptop out, furiously typing. Jake, I'm uploading this footage to every server I can access. The Joint Chiefs are going to want to see this. Also, I think your barn is on fire now. Just a little fire, Jake corrected, watching smoke curl lazily from what remained of his hay storage. Insurance should cover it. Probably have alien invasion coverage buried somewhere in the fine print. Within 3 hours, the situation had escalated from mildly inconvenient Tuesday to every military strategist's wildest power fantasy come true. General Rick Stone sat in the Pentagon's Situation Room, surrounded by screens showing the alien craft still hovering over Kansas like a confused tourist. Let me get this straight, General Stone said, his voice carrying the patient tone of someone explaining basic concepts to a particularly slow child. These aliens traveled across interstellar space, bypassed our entire defense network, and used their supposedly superior technology to barely damage a barn? That's correct, sir, reported Colonel Martinez, trying very hard not to smile. Initial damage assessment indicates they destroyed approximately $40 worth of hay and caused minor cosmetic damage to the roof structure. And they're just sitting there? Yes, sir. Our communications team attempted first contact protocols, but The aliens responded with what our xenolinguists have translated as surrender now or face annihilation. Our reply was, quote, "You first." General Stone leaned back in his chair, experiencing the military equivalent of Christmas morning. "Gentlemen, we have been handed the galaxy's most incompetent enemy on a silver platter. I want a response that's educational but not genocidal. These aliens clearly need to learn about proportional response, Earth-style." Within the hour, the Zephyrian ship found itself surrounded by every piece of experimental military hardware the Pentagon had been looking for an excuse to field test. The alien sensors detected incoming objects but couldn't classify them because, frankly, humans had a tendency to weaponize things that shouldn't logically be weapons. "Commander," Lieutenant Buzz reported with growing panic, "we're detecting multiple incoming projectiles. Configuration unknown. Energy signatures confusing." "Confusing how?" "Well, sir, one appears to be a modified farming vehicle. Another seems to be, is that a weaponized satellite dish?" Commander Vex squinted at his tactical display. "That's impossible. These primitives don't have space technology." "Sir, that's definitely a weaponized satellite dish. It's painted camouflage and everything." Meanwhile, Jerry Kowalski, a mechanic from nearby Lawrence, was having the time of his life. When the National Guard had shown up asking if anyone had unconventional engineering solutions, Jerry had volunteered his latest project, a tractor modified with electromagnetic pulse generators that he'd originally built to deal with his neighbor's obnoxiously loud stereo system. "You sure this'll work against alien shields?" asked the young lieutenant assigned to Jerry's irregular warfare unit. "Kid," Jerry replied, adjusting his baseball cap and revving the tractor's engine, "if it can shut down Dave's subwoofers from 3 blocks away, it can handle some fancy space hubcaps." The first wave of Earth's proportional response hit the Zephyrian shields with the subtlety of a freight train driven by someone with severe anger management issues. The aliens' supposedly impenetrable barriers flickered, sparked, and died with all the dignity of a wet firecracker. "Shields are failing," Lieutenant Buzz announced, his voice climbing toward frequencies that only dolphins could appreciate. "How is that possible? Our shields can withstand the output of a small star." "Sir, I don't think these humans understand the concept of appropriate force levels." Commander Vex watched in horror as a modified John Deere tractor somehow breached their hull plating using what appeared to be farming equipment crossed with military-grade spite. "This has to be some kind of mistake. Check the planetary classification again." "Sir, according to our records, Earth is listed under harmless agricultural worlds, subsection, really not worth bothering with." "Then explain to me why a farming vehicle just disabled our primary weapons array." Down on the surface, Jerry was whooping with joy as his tractor-mounted EMP cannon reduced the alien ship's offensive capabilities to something roughly equivalent to a strongly worded letter. "Take that, you barn-burning space jerks." Captain Nova had volunteered for the boarding party because she'd wanted to see primitive human technology up close. She was beginning to regret that decision as her squad encountered their first defensive measure, a modified coffee maker that somehow launched projectiles with the accuracy of a sniper rifle and the enthusiasm of a caffeinated college student during finals week. "Report," she barked into her communicator while dodging what appeared to be weaponized espresso shots. "Ma-am, we've encountered 17 separate defensive systems, none of which appear in any known tactical manual," reported Sergeant Zapp, currently pinned down behind what used to be a decorative planter. "The humans have weaponized their entire infrastructure." "Explain." "No." "Well, Ma-am, the first obstacle was a robotic cleaning unit that's been modified with plasma cutters. It kept trying to clean our equipment by disintegrating it. Then we encountered a security system that appears to be sentient and has a very sarcastic attitude." Nova dodged another coffee projectile and noticed it left a small crater in the wall behind her. "These humans have turned beverage preparation into a weapon system?" "That's not even the weird part, Ma-am. We found their armory. It's called Home Depot, and apparently any human can just walk in and purchase military-grade construction equipment. Back on the Zephyrian bridge, Commander Vex was experiencing what psychologists would later classify as a complete existential crisis. His invasion force, the pride of the Zephyrian fleet, was being systematically dismantled by creatures who treated interstellar warfare like a home improvement project. "Sir," Lieutenant Buzz reported with the tone of someone delivering news about a terminal diagnosis, "Captain Nova's boarding party has been neutralized." "Killed?" "Men?" "No, sir. Worse. They've been efficiently processed through what the humans call their customer service experience. They're currently filling out complaint forms." "What?" "The humans have established a processing center for our personnel. They're being issued visitor badges and asked to rate their invasion experience on a scale of 1 to 10. Captain Nova reported that the humans offered her coffee and asked if she had any dietary restrictions." Commander Vex stared at his communications panel, where a message had appeared in perfect Zephyrian script. "Welcome to Earth. Your invasion attempt is important to us. Please hold while we connect you to the next available representative." Your estimated wait time. Longer than your species' attention span. "How did they translate our language so quickly?" "Sir, according to their response, they used something called Google Translate and an afternoon. They also mentioned that our language structure is surprisingly basic and less complex than Klingon." Down in the processing center that had been hastily established in Jake's now famous barn, Captain Nova found herself seated across from Miss Betty, a retired kindergarten teacher who'd volunteered to handle cultural integration services. "Now, sweetie," Miss Betty said, offering Nova a plate of homemade cookies, "I understand you're upset about the whole invasion thing not working out. But tantrums won't solve anything. Let's talk about better ways to express your feelings." Nova, a decorated military officer who'd conquered 17 star systems, found herself accepting a chocolate chip cookie and nodding along as Miss Betty explained the importance of using your words and playing nice with others. "The thing is, dear, we humans have been dealing with difficult visitors for centuries. We call them tourists. You aliens are actually much more polite than most of them." "But we're supposed to be terrifying conquerors," Nova protested weakly. "Oh, honey, you're adorable. Now, tell me about your home planet. Do you have proper nutrition there? You look a little thin." 3 solar systems away, the Zephyrian High Command was experiencing what could politely be called a bureaucratic meltdown and more accurately be described as complete institutional panic. Administrator Flux, whose job title was longer than most novels and whose competence was inversely proportional to his authority, stood before a wall of screens displaying Earth's updated classification. Someone, Flux announced with the barely controlled rage of a middle manager who'd just discovered the printer was out of toner, is going to explain to me how an entire species of apex predators was filed under harmless agricultural worlds. His assistant, Deputy Undersecretary Ping, shuffled through digital files with the desperate energy of someone whose career was about to become a cautionary tale. "Sir, it appears there was a clerical error in the original survey. The team responsible for Earth's classification was the intern program." "The intern program?" "Yes, sir. Specifically intern Bleep, who graduated last in his class from the Galactic Survey Academy and whose final thesis was titled, "Why Detailed Analysis is Overrated." Signed intern Bleep. "Sir, he's currently working in waste management on Zeta Reticuli. Should I have him executed?" "Later. First, bring up Earth's actual capabilities assessment." The screens flickered and displayed information that made Administrator Flux's 3 hearts skip several beats. "They've colonized their entire solar system. They have functioning faster than light communication. They've terraformed Mars." "That's just the preliminary report, sir. The updated assessment indicates they've also established trade relationships with 6 neighboring star systems, developed artificial intelligence that's smarter than our central computer, and somehow managed to weaponize their entertainment industry." "Weaponized entertainment?" Sir, have you ever tried to stop watching something called Netflix? It's terrifyingly addictive. Also, they have something called social media that appears to be psychological warfare disguised as casual communication. Meanwhile, back on Earth, humans were demonstrating their characteristic approach to probe solving, overwhelming competence applied with casual indifference. Dr. Marcus Webb, a MIT graduate who'd been recruited by the Pentagon's Weird Science Division, was reverse engineering Zephyrian technology with the same focused intensity most people reserve for assembling furniture. "This is fascinating," he announced to his team, holding up what appeared to be the aliens' primary processing unit. "Their entire computational system runs on principles we figured out in the 1990s. It's like they took our basic programming concepts and made them unnecessarily complicated." "How unnecessarily complicated?" asked his assistant, Dr. Rachel Torres. "They need 17 separate processors to accomplish what we do with a standard smartphone. Also, their code is written in what appears to be a programming language designed by committee. A very large, very argumentative committee. Can we improve it?" "Rachel, I'm pretty sure I can run their entire fleet navigation system on my laptop. Give me until Thursday, and I'll have it optimized, debugged, and probably running faster than their original designers ever imagined possible." Back on the Zephyrian command ship, the implications of Earth's technological superiority were beginning to sink in. Lieutenant Buzz approached Commander Vex with the expression of someone delivering news about an impending apocalypse. "Sir, we've received word from High Command. Earth's classification has been updated." "To what?" "What species of interest, subsection, do not provoke under any circumstances, subsection, seriously, we mean it this time." Commander Vex slumped in his command chair. "What's our new mission profile?" "Survival, sir. Just survival." Ambassador Quill of the Zephyrian Diplomatic Corps arrived at Earth with all the confidence of someone who'd successfully negotiated trade agreements with 17 different species and none of the wisdom to realize that humans weren't like other species. His diplomatic transport landed at what had been hastily designated as First Contact Site Alpha, but which everyone still called Jake's Farm. "Greetings, primitive beings," Ambassador Quill announced as he emerged from his ship, wearing his finest ceremonial robes and most intimidating diplomatic expression. "I am here to discuss terms of your surrender." The human negotiation team was waiting for him. Monica Sharp, a corporate lawyer who specialized in hostile takeovers, stood beside Miss Betty, the kindergarten teacher who'd somehow become Earth's unofficial alien relations coordinator. Behind them, Jake Morrison leaned against his partially repaired barn, drinking coffee and looking mildly annoyed. "Hi there, sweetie," Miss Betty said, stepping forward with a welcoming smile. "You must be the diplomat we've been expecting. I'm Miss Betty, and this is Monica. We're here to help you work through this little misunderstanding." Ambassador Quill blinked all three of his eyes in confusion. "Misunderstanding? You have been conquered by the mighty Zephyrian Empire." Monica Sharp stepped forward, adjusting her glasses with the predatory precision of someone who'd made insurance companies weep. "Actually, about that. We've reviewed the legal precedents for interstellar conquest, and I'm afraid your claim is invalid." "Invalid?" "First, you failed to properly declare war according to Galactic Convention 447b. Second, your invasion caused less damage than a typical hailstorm, which under Earth law makes this a civil matter rather than a military one. Third, and most importantly, you're now in violation of approximately 47 different interstellar treaties that we've been quietly signing with your neighbors over the past 6 months. Ambassador Quill felt the ground shifting beneath his feet, metaphorically speaking. What neighbors? "Oh, the Centaurian Republic was very interested in establishing trade relations once we explained the situation," Miss Betty said cheerfully. "Lovely people. They make excellent pastries. Also, the Andromedan Collective wanted to apologize for your behavior and offered to mediate any disputes." "The Andromedans contacted you?" Honey, everyone's been contacting us. Apparently your little empire hasn't been making many friends lately. Something about aggressive expansion policies and generally being unpleasant dinner guests. Monica pulled out a tablet and scrolled through what appeared to be a very long legal document. Now, here's what we're prepared to offer. In exchange for dropping all charges related to the illegal invasion, property damage, and what my client characterizes as ruining a perfectly good Tuesday, the Zephyrian Empire will agree to the following terms. Ambassador Quill found himself listening to conditions that would have made a loan shark blush. Technology sharing agreements, cultural exchange programs, reparations that included not just money, but also what humans called community service. Most disturbing of all, mandatory enrollment in what Miss Betty called interpersonal communication workshops. These terms are outrageous, Ambassador Quill protested. We are a proud warrior race. Monica corrected. Past tense. As of this morning, you're a wholly owned subsidiary of Earth Enterprises, pending completion of the integration process. Integration process? Miss Betty patted his arm gently. Don't worry, dear. We'll help you learn how to be better neighbors. It's going to be a wonderful learning experience for everyone. Behind them, Jake Morrison finished his coffee and spoke for the first time since the negotiations began. Just so we're clear, I'm still expecting compensation for my barn. Cash, check, or alien technology that can help with the harvest. I'm not picky. Ambassador Quill realized, with the dawning horror of someone who'd just discovered they'd brought a knife to a gunfight and the knife was made of foam, that he was completely out of his depth. These humans negotiated like they approached everything else, with ruthless competence disguised as friendly helpfulness. Do we have a choice in these terms? He asked weakly. Monica and Miss Betty exchanged a look. Of course you do, sweetie, Miss Betty said. You can accept them, or you can explain to your people why Earth just became very close friends with all of your enemies. All of our enemies? Every single one, Monica confirmed. We're very thorough when it comes to customer service. 6 months later, the Zephyrian Empire existed primarily as a case study in what management consultants called aggressive restructuring and what everyone else called getting schooled by kindergarten teachers and lawyers. Former Commander Vex, now officially titled Customer Experience Coordinator for Interstellar Tourism Services, sat behind a desk that had been salvaged from his old command bridge and repurposed into what humans called a help desk. Thank you for calling Earth Enterprises, formerly the Zephyrian Empire, Vex said into his headset with the practiced enthusiasm of someone whose performance reviews depended on customer satisfaction ratings. My name is Vex, and I'll be assisting you with your travel needs today. How can I make your experience out of this world? He paused, listening to the caller, then sighed. No, ma'am, I cannot authorize an invasion of the Proxima Centauri system. That would be a violation of our new corporate policies regarding aggressive expansion. However, I can offer you a discount on our cultural exchange package, which includes a complimentary diplomatic immunity waiver and a box lunch. Across the office, Lieutenant Buzz was learning to operate what humans called a computer, which somehow managed to perform the same functions as their old tactical computers while also playing something called music videos, and allowing access to an information network that apparently contained the sum total of human knowledge, plus an alarming number of pictures of cats. Sir, Buzz called out, I'm getting reports from the outer colonies. They want to know if they should continue with the traditional conquest protocols. Absolutely not, Vex replied, covering his headset microphone. New protocols are, arrive politely, ask permission to land, bring gifts, and under no circumstances should anyone mention the word conquest. Humans consider that rude. The transformation had been, by all objective measures, remarkably efficient. What had taken the Zephyrian Empire 3 centuries to build, humans had reorganized, optimized, and improved in less than 6 months. The old empire's bureaucratic nightmare had been replaced with something humans called streamlined processes, which somehow made everything work better while requiring less paperwork. Ambassador Quill, now Director of Intercultural Relations, walked past carrying a stack of what appeared to be graduation certificates. "Miss Betty's communication workshop has another successful class," he announced. 17 former combat officers have successfully completed Conflict Resolution 101. "How are they adapting?" Vex asked. "Well, Lieutenant Zapp asked if he could get extra credit for organizing a potluck dinner with the Andromedan delegation. Apparently he wants to specialize in what humans call food diplomacy." Back on Earth, Jake Morrison was giving tours of his barn to groups of alien visitors who wanted to see the historic site of First Contact. He'd installed a small plaque that read, "On this spot, the Zephyrian Empire discovered that humans don't appreciate property damage before coffee." "The burn marks are still visible on the ceiling," Jake explained to a group of tourists from 3 different star systems. "Insurance covered the repairs, but I left the scorch marks for historical accuracy. Also because my wife thought they looked interesting." Luna Park, now officially Earth's Director of Xenological Affairs, was finishing up a presentation to a joint session of Congress and the Galactic Council. "In conclusion," she said, "the integration of the former Zephyrian Empire has exceeded all projections. Productivity is up 400%, customer satisfaction ratings are at an all-time high, and we've eliminated 17 different layers of unnecessary bureaucracy." "What about expansion plans?" asked Senator Williams. "Well, we've received applications from 14 other species requesting integration into the Earth Enterprises family. Apparently, word has gotten around that humans are very good at making things work efficiently." "And our response?" Luna smiled with the expression of someone who'd just been handed the keys to the galaxy. "We're scheduling interviews for next month. Miss Betty is designing the orientation program." In the audience, former Administrator Flux raised his hand. "What about the rest of the galaxy? Are there any plans for further expansion?" "Funny you should ask," Luna replied. "We've been looking at some interesting opportunities in the Andromeda sector. There's a whole cluster of civilizations that seem to be having trouble with basic infrastructure management. We think we might be able to help." The assembled representatives from various galactic civilizations exchanged nervous glances. They'd all received the same reports about what humans considered helping. Jake Morrison, watching the proceedings from the back of the room, leaned over to Miss Betty. "Think they're starting to understand what they're dealing with?" Miss Betty smiled with the gentle satisfaction of someone who'd successfully taught several alien species the importance of playing nicely with others. "Oh, I think they're learning, dear. Humans have always been very good teachers. We just sometimes have to use creative lesson plans." Outside, in Mia, the sun was setting over what had once been a simple farm in Kansas and was now the unofficial center of an expanding galactic civilization built on the radical principles of competent management and basic courtesy. It was, by any measure, a perfectly normal Tuesday afternoon for the species that had accidentally conquered the galaxy before dinner.